Attached is a picture of a snapshot of a piggy bank for kids. Oh, let's take a look at that. Let's move on from Chris's sword. And let's open up this picture. Looks something like that. A piggy bank for kids. It's kind of cool. So the slot in the picture is where a tube where the coins slide down into the bank at the bottom of the part of the bottom. It is open all the way down so the child can see the coin. I see that the bank has most of the channel completely cut through for visibility and only halfway deep at the top. I'm sure 2 mills were used, a flat end mill to make the visible channel part, and then a slot cutter to make the channel for the coins to slide through. So yes, I'm missing a little bit of, maybe this is just the difference between you and me in regards to visibility. It looks like 2 different parts, right? So I'm thinking this is like a plastic part, and then there's a clear plastic part down here. And my thought is that the kid lets the coin kind of like slide down. I don't know how big this thing is. Slide down, and maybe I need a better picture of this. But I don't think necessarily. I think one end mill is used to mill all this, but in 2 different setups or in 2 different depths. The first one don't go all the way through, and then they just mill it all the way through to the end. And if you're into cam, I thought I would do this to show you some pretty neat stuff that you maybe don't know about cam. Maybe this is answering your question, Doug, on how I would do this, maybe not. But I thought this could be kind of cool. If you're a cam user, I hope I show you something you didn't know. Let's just go ahead here and S key to get my center rectangle. And I'm going to do, I don't know, 300 by 200. And let's just extrude some thickness to this plate here. Let's make it like 10 millimeters thick. So what I thought we will do with this is we will go in and insert a canvas on that front face, and we're going to take our piggy bank. Open that up there. Let's go to the front view and look at this and scale it up a little bit. Oh, it actually flipped on me. Did you know this is the flip button? You know, you can flip a image like this. I'm just going to get this up a little bit here. Stay within the box. Okay. I want to show you a couple of cool tricks. Now, first of all, I need to create the path how I would mill this. And the way I would probably do this is with splines. We talked about, if you are into modeling, talked about splines before. Start a sketch on that front face, and I'm going to use the spline tool. Now, somebody pretty cool out on Facebook, somebody had a question about splines, and other people were super cool to help. When you do splines, it's not so much about many points. It's more about where does the spline kind of switch direction. So you will see, I'm going to show you that just in a second. Now, I know this is for cam users, but I think cam users will love this too. I'm just going to go to about this point here, because with splines, you get these handles. And with spline tools, you can actually kind of like adjust this to be about as good as you want it. So these handles you see here is kind of the magic to make these follow the groove the best you kind of can. So see how just by moving these points, we can actually kind of make this work. I'm not sure I got that right. Make this work pretty close to the channel of this model. So if you ever see somebody struggling with spline points, it's normally just because that they're putting too many in. You really just need wherever it kind of follows around. This channel here is kind of following pretty good all the way around here. And actually also another thing that I've talked about before is that these handles you can also use like constraints. So you would maybe make this one vertical here, just to kind of have that as an option. Of course, I'm going to change the spline a little bit. And whenever you get everything spline wise the way you want it, when you kind of feel that this is pretty good, then it's okay in my mind to right click on the spline and just fix it. So we normally don't fully define these splines, we're just fixing it. Now I'm gonna do another thing. I'm gonna create a line from that endpoint up there till out to the end. So this is just a straight line attached to the sketch. I'm gonna stop this sketch right here and show you what I got. I'm gonna turn the canvas off. So what we kind of have is a line that goes in and follows around here. Now this is where it becomes interesting for cam users, I think, I hope. Check this out. We actually don't need to have cuts and extrudes to use cam. What we could do is we can go in here and go into manufacture, and we're gonna do a setup. So I always gonna do the select Z-axis direction. I'm gonna select this top face, and now you could place wherever you kind of want your point at here. Oops, sorry. I'll select this upper corner for my G54. And you can, if we go in and do a 2D contour, and we're going to select an end mill. Let's go in and find our metric tools. I'm going to select a flat 5mm end mill here to do this. When you come to the geometry tab, check this out. If I select this line, I get just one line. Now you might choose again to select the spline. When you do that, notice how we kind of get two different arrows here. And the arrow shows what side of the cutter do we want to be on. So if I switch this over, flip that arrow, I can switch direction. Now I have two arrows and I have two chains. What that means is that I have made two chains to go through here. You can actually make this one. If I check the first one and I reselect it again, then we get this chain manager, right? And it has the one selected. We could actually now go over and select the next chain. And now when we hit the plus sign, it's one chain machining the whole thing. All right, I'm gonna stop right there and hit OK, so you can kind of see what we have gotten out of this. What we have gotten out of this is we are just machining one sketch. We are staying on the left side of the sketch. And if I simulate it, you will see that that end mill is just kind of kissing the top of that surface. But this is pretty cool. I didn't model up all the slot and worrying about the slot. Now, don't forget that lead in, lead out might be an issue. Right click, edit the tool. And when you go to the linking tab, the last tab is all about approaching. You could go in and say my lead in is going to be, I don't know, it's a 5mm end mill. So maybe I make it 8mm, and maybe my lead out is not going to be there at all. And I hit OK. Now you will see I get a lead in that's going to be outside my part, and my lead out is just kind of like going to go up. So now if we simulate this, you will see that we're not going to worry about smacking into the material. Of course, we're not touching the material yet. So let's do that. Let's right click and edit the part again. Let's go to the heights tab, and you will see that if we go I've talked about this in other videos. If you're confused about the heights tab, start from the bottom and work your way up. So the selected contour is what we're machining. Well, the selected contour is that sketch line. So if I go minus, let's go minus, I think we made it 10mm. Let's go -8 first. So now you will see here, if we go in and we simulate that, let's turn the stock on and we hit play. You can kind of see how we're machining here. Now the material appears because we are driving a sketch, but it's kind of like the amazing thing about this. I'm going to turn the model off. Now let's go back in and simulate it. Right, so now you see here how we're making that slot of that picture. I just hope that this is useful to somebody who is fairly new to CAM inside of Fusion. That we now are actually camming a slot in a completely untraditional untraditional way. Now I wanted to show you the next part of this. Let me turn the part on again, because if you turn the image back on, our canvas back on, we are machining the slot to a certain level, but then down about here, now we wanted actually to start machining all the way through, if you remember correctly. So check this out. Go back into the manufacturer. I'm going to use a command I love to use, and that is right click and go down and just duplicate your previous toolpath. That means that the toolpath has all those things in it that we just have changed, the lead in, lead out, all this kind of stuff. And if we just duplicate that, we get a copy of that. Now we can continue working with that. So a couple of things I wanted to show you with that. First of all, I'm going to go in and edit that. And I know the lead in, lead out is going to be a little, so I'm going to turn the lead in off. Here's one thing I want to show you. This toolpath is identical to what we selected before. Did you know that there's a tangible distance? And what that means is that if I take, like, I don't know, I'm just going to 60 millimeters, hit OK. Oh, I'm going to go minus 60 millimeters. Go the other way. Then now it starts 60 millimeters in, but it's quite not enough for me. Right click, edit. On that second toolpath, let's make it minus 120. Hit OK. You see how it starts here now instead of starting all the way down? And we can separate the two. So I can say that I want my n to be 0. So now it's still not there. It doesn't start until there. But you know what I'm doing here? On the passes tab, I'm actually adding in 200. And I'm saying that my tangential end is 0. So that's going to stay there. But it's starting further in. Just leave it there. So let's go in and simulate this. So canvas is turned on. So the first toolpath, we've already run that through. That is just machining through there, right? But then the second toolpath is going to come over, and that one, now that one's right now is just going to start there and go to the end. But if we go back into that and change the cut through, the depth, I think I made it 10 millimeters, you might remember. Let's make it minus 11. Now if we go in and simulate these two, get to the last toolpath, it's going to move over, come down, and now it's going to machine all the way through that in the end. So following, have a good lead in, come around, machining to a certain point, and then go down. All done in our operation, not doing any cuts, but just following a sketch, and then going in here and playing with this tangential extension. That is pretty rad. So Doug, I really appreciate you you sharing your your question. I hope that this was somewhat helpful, if not just to you, then others, to just see how you can literally have this kind of flexibility within Fusion 360. Hope that was useful. All right, let's move on.